All right, welcome back to All Sports BPT. You're here with Phil, myself, Ben, and our guest today, Aggelos Mandilaris, coming all the way from Greece.
Hi Ben, thanks for having me tonight. Thank
Oh,
you.
yes, it's good to have you. Happy New Year's to everyone out there, and remember, if you want to start off the new year right, you want to get your All Sports BPT merchandise. So make sure you leave in the comments if you want any. But we'll get right into this, Aggelos. We were expecting your brother here to be joining you, but we know how Voss can be, so we're gonna go this just one of the two Mandilaris brothers. So let's just do a little update on like how you are doing. How everything has been with the transition to the new school and everything like that.
It's great, it's a completely different school, much bigger. I don't have many other international students around me like I did at Barton, so it was a new experience. But the guys were really cool with me. The coaches were really cool, so it was pretty easy for me. And it was like also my seventh year away from my house, so from my home. So kind of used to that now. So yeah, it was fine, and it's nice to be in a different place, see the new people, see new environment, get more experience.
Yeah, that's definitely quite the difference from Wilson, North Carolina. There,
For sure. Yes.
you miss all those cookout trips.
Yes, I do miss the cookout trips. Cookout is number one for sure, number one destination. But I'm trying to survive.
Yeah, yeah, I understand that. How have things been with COVID, like dealing with that, on a daily basis?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite annoying sometimes. You can't do many things. Also, like in training and lifting and everything in treatment, we have many restrictions. We have to wear masks. We have to lower expectations for social life. It is what it is what it is. We're doing the best that we can. But it has affected us like the rest of the world. It's not the same year that it will be.
Yeah, yeah. How do you have to go about that with like your mental part of the game, because I know I know we've talked before, and there's a difference in the amount of reps that you're getting because you have a larger team, and then you add in there's all these restrictions to working out and playing now. How do you go about things? um, how do you go about prepping yourself mentally to deal with all these things on a daily basis and still be successful?
Well, I try. Yeah, in my head, I have it like that's a new normal right now. So there's nothing I do to change that. So instead of getting frustrated of how things are, I just accept them and try to focus on what I can do to improve myself. It's kind of the same with before. Like, but instead of you just have one extra big problem ahead. So it's definitely tougher. But yeah, I feel like if you just accept it and not don't try to fight it back, it's much easier, and you can find the mental strength to try every day and do your best, stuff like that.
And then what's it been like adjusting to taking classes online too? Has that been a big adjustment for you?
Yeah, yeah, I don't mind like when I'm actually in class, but like you can kind of see because like we have group projects and stuff in my degree, and it's kind of hard to communicate effectively with the students because you don't really see them in person. Like in the one class where we were actually in person, it was much easier than the other classes, to find common times, like feel comfortable around the people because you never really see them. You just like you know text them, maybe Zoom, have a Zoom call with them. So yeah, it is definitely weird, but sometimes it's convenient too, because when you're tired from volleyball, from work and stuff, and just laying in your bed and attending your class is way easier, way more relaxing as well.
Yeah, it's I definitely understand that. Um, I think we're going to be having your brother here joining in a second, so
Oh,
so
no way.
we'll see here. We're gonna cross our fingers here. Um,
Yeah.
because this is like a diamond in the rough trying to get Voss to communicate. Um, but you know, how has it been with like the level of play? You know, obviously you spent all your time at Barton. You know, do you see a rise in the level of play because there's a lot more players, or was it better at Barton because it was a more tight knit group that you know you had to see every single day?
Yeah, over there we have like, let's say 6, 7 more players. So we definitely have more depth. Like at Bayern, we had a few injuries. Like the team sadly was changing a lot. There, they kind of like they already have like backups for those injuries that like almost of equal level of play with the starters. So we definitely have more depth. Like the level of play, I would say that our team was really good in the past. Like we tried really hard and we played some good games. And I think we made it up to a really good level. So I wouldn't say that that it's much better. Maybe it is a little better, but I think the reason of that is like there is more organized. They have 3 coaches, and 3 managers. We have like a lot of equipment that we didn't have available in the last school. So all of these things like kind of contribute, and it makes it like it helps us play organized volleyball a little easier. We always have like more than 12 people, so we can always like scrimmage. We can rotate people around. There are so many so many options. So, but
Yeah.
it definitely a little more organized. But yeah.
Yeah, and in terms of going to a bigger school, you kind of went from a program that isn't really that well known to kind of one of the most storied, I guess, men's volleyball programs around. What's the culture change been like in terms of just being at like an actual volleyball school now?
Yeah, I guess it's definitely way more like I feel the competition a little more. People that go there to play, they really love volleyball and stuff. It's their priority. Just like you said, it's like a history school. So yeah, I would say it's definitely more competitive, and people like take it a little more personally. I guess I don't know, something like that. So they try their best every day, stuff like that.
Oh, we have the fabled Vasilis Mandilaris joining us now. Once he gets his audio and
Yeah.
his video started here. Let's see how. Oh, we're in the dark here.
Can you see me?
Hello, Vas. Yes, we can.
Hello. Hey, nice to see you guys.
Good to see
Thank
you,
you.
Vas.
How's life going?
You know what? We're surviving here. Pennsylvania's on lockdown, so we're just hanging in there for now. But how's everything been going with you, Voss?
Everything's doing okay, yes. Rough night last night, but uh, back to training tomorrow morning,
Okay.
and both in the morning and the afternoon, and we have the first game next week, so it's exciting for the team. I'll say that.
All right. So give us just a little update where you are, what team you're playing for, just how things have been with you over the past, couple of years since you left Barton.
So this year I compete in the Eredivisie. It's the Dutch first league, and the club is called Wakasa. It's in a small city that is really beautiful. It's called Nijmegen, and I really like it here. And the problem was that the league did not start until now. It's starting next week. That was because of the coronavirus, but now there are some new rules which have enabled the sports federations here to do all the first leagues in the country. So all the kind of professional sports are starting.
Well, that's good to hear. Have you guys had any were you guys able to practice over the past couple months, or were you just doing individual stuff over that time?
So here in Holland, it was all about the government rules. So the rule was, I think, after the 10th of October, for 1 month, we trained with, or maybe a little more, with it was 4 people in the court plus a coach. But you were allowed to have 4 people outside the court. So for example, they can serve and the other people can receive, and etc. etc. We normally did this though with 4 plus a coach. And we went to the weight room every day, the majority of us at least. And then the cases started going up a lot, and they reduced to 2 people per court and 1 coach. That was harder, but it didn't last long. It was for 2 weeks or so. Then we had COVID in half of the team. So for 10 days, nobody trained. It was something like this. And now it was good because it happened, the COVID happened in us in a way that nobody actually was sick. And seriously, I mean, everybody lived in the same house, so they didn't give it to others. And we were able to follow the rules that way. And we came back, and the time we came back, it was the week that the government allowed us to practice again as a team. So for us, it was really nice.
That's good to hear. I know that's something that we've been having to do over here with our college teams, is practicing in those small groups, just to keep the numbers down, so we're not spreading it too much. So I understand how that is. That's definitely tough to try and improve as a player when you're not really getting to play. You're just working on little skills, but that also can help you, improve your skills. What do you think you've improved on since you've left Barton?
I would say that my reception is more consistent than it was, specifically technically, and my blocking is better. It's not good, but it's better.
Yeah,
That's what
I'm
I would
sure.
say.
Yeah. Well, that's good to hear that you're making some good improvements over there.
These are skills I think you develop when you mature during a sport, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I had such a good understanding of this, but for me now, I'm more action by action sport, you know.
Okay, yeah, we lost you there for a second, so yeah, it's okay.
When did I stop?
We just heard you come in and out a little bit. But it's okay. It's okay. I wanted to move on to a question for both of you. Since you grew up in Greece and experienced volleyball there, and also got to play beach volleyball around the world, what difference do you see in the way that American volleyball is brought up through the younger ages and into high school volleyball, and then like the difference between that and what is done in the majority of Europe?
Okay, I think in America, the thing with the development of volleyball is, first of all, okay, it's not so popular, it's not in schools and everything, but when you have club volleyball costing €5,000, $5,000, $4,000 a year for a parent, how it's not, it's not so easy for the parents to say, okay, let's send our kids to play volleyball, pay $4,000, $5,000 for a season. You know what I mean? And when in contrast here, they pay $400 for the whole season, and they get probably the same amount of training. So for me, that's a big concern, and I understand there are many external factors to that. It's not like they want to make it expensive. Renting the court is expensive, hiring coach is expensive. They have to leave, of course. I understand, but however, I think it's over exaggerated. The price and everything. It's too much, and that's one of the reasons I think, especially with boys, there are less that will play. Because if you don't get, volleyball is a hard sport, so you don't go one day and in a beautiful day you start receiving the ball good, setting the ball good, and attacking the ball good. It doesn't work like this. It has to be a lot of time. So if you go and have 1 or 2, 3 practices and they don't like it, bye, see you later. Parents, of course, are not gonna pay 4,000 or 5,000 for something they are not sure if their kids like.
Yeah.
When in contrast, basketball, you can become good at this at the hoop outside, the garage, and if you're good, then okay, you can say,
Yeah.
I can play club basketball or something.
Yeah, I think
Coaching. Sorry.
Yeah, what was saying is right, because like the
Go.
America is so huge, so like it's really hard to travel, like for games and stuff, which makes it expensive. And also, there are so many sports that are ahead of volleyball, culture-wise. So people are like, oh, I want to grow up and play basketball, football, baseball. There are so many sports that you can make more money, and you can see on TV. Men's volleyball is not a sport, or beach volleyball is as popular. So kind of hard to have that growth, I guess.
And we have started to see that in the college game, that we've seen some more teams being added here in America, but it is a slow process. And until someone can actually get on primetime television and show off a volleyball match, it's going to continue to be really slow growth among the men's game.
Yep.
I think the problem with all of the colleges that even add men's volleyball is that, of course, they increase opportunities for participation and everything. But if you have four or five coaches in the basketball team and 1 coach in the volleyball team, what do you expect to work out? What do you expect to win in your college, And even if they add those sports, I don't think in the majority of cases the schools are funded properly. So they are not able to be good at them, and volleyball cannot become a tradition for them. And when volleyball becomes a tradition, then you attract younger kids from the area and they want to play volleyball because the team is good. But if they don't see it, how are they gonna like it? When in contrast, you have a Division 3 basketball, Division 2 basketball is a pretty good level. You can find it pretty much everywhere, and it's completely fully funded. So I don't know if you agree or not, but that's my understanding on the situation.
Absolutely. I mean, there's definitely Division 3 basketball teams that are more well funded than a lot of Division 1 men's volleyball teams. And that's just because, where is the money going to come from? I think whenever we had our time at Barton, we had decent crowds, but it wasn't even like basketball. We were the most successful team at Barton, we still weren't getting the crowds that basketball was. And that's largely in part because a lot of people just don't understand volleyball, especially you think about going to the deep South. Do you think that the majority of people know more about football than they do about like volleyball? Like, it's just going to be that thing. And until there's a cultural change in that, where it's being exposed more, volleyball is going to continue to be low on the totem pole.
Yeah, and
yes, and I think also adding. Sorry.
You're good. Go ahead.
Like,
you're good.
For me, it has a meaning, but there should be some standards that should be met. There should be some standards to be met. Like, you can't have, for example, men's volleyball being played at a low ceiling roof and the ball to hit the ceiling like 10 times, in a game, and you can still play after this. This is okay. Maybe for women's volleyball that the speeds are smaller, it's understandable. And those things take. I don't think they're good for the sport, and they don't allow it to develop as well. That's what I think. Like, this is one of the many examples, but I'm just trying to say that it's not regulated I'm pretty sure that the majority of those small schools, they do whatever.
Oh yeah,
You know.
I mean it's the smaller schools are doing this more on a let's try and get in more people to come to our school so we can make more money. It's not it's not looking at the sport like let's add this and try and become a national champion at this sport. They just want to think about it in the money realm.
Yeah. So I kind of wanted to switch gears a little bit and ask what it's like being able to play, highly competitive volleyball, with a brother, with a family member, and what that experience is like for you guys, both on the beach and then when you have been able to play indoor as well.
Yeah, it's definitely good because we have a obviously better connection than we do, with other people, and at times it's like really good. But of course we're brothers, and we have our lows as well. So a few times I would say it's, when you're not in a good mood, it may end up not ideally, but in the majority of times it's good because we have the same goals, and we would both kind of help each other, work hard and try the best, and we wouldn't have to communicate as much, and in order to make a play, we would kind of know what we're doing. But yeah, of course, like I told you, like sometimes because we're too comfortable with each other, we would say something extra, and we would end up, maybe fighting a few times, like up to the normal level. But I feel like if you manage to control that, it's really good. It's very, very helpful for sure.
I think it's very important for the coach for the first moment to actually utilize it, teach the athletes how to utilize it as an advantage. That's my opinion on the matter after doing for many years, because there should be rules in the team. It doesn't matter if it's your brother or whoever it is, with everyone, that will say, let's say, oh, these guys have a good connection, we need to make sure we get the best out of them. How we're gonna do this way. You guys are not allowed to do this. It's over, It's we are here to win. We're not here to like see who's gonna be the best individually. And so that's the first part. There have been occasions with like brothers playing playing together in beach volleyball, and not so many, I think, occasions in indoor volleyball. So many, but there are. Some of them have been pretty successful, or it's either relatives or not. Some of them have not. But it's actually really hard to see if things were different, because this is dependent on many factors, and it's not just, oh, they played well this tournament, they won, they lose. It depends, because you can say you have two of these guys from Greece. Oh, look, they jumped, but they lost from those guys from Italy. But these guys from Italy, let's say they have better connection with them or something, but they have been training 20 hours more a week than the Greek guys. So it's not, we can never, like, I think, understand if we will never understand if playing with your brother or not could actually mean that it was better or not, because we cannot actually test it properly. But from my experience, I think it's helpful. Like, there would be no beach volleyball team if Aggelos was not my partner, and I'm not sure that Aggelos would be traveling to Athens every day by himself, 1 hour to go minimum and 1 hour to go back, just to train and see what happens.
Yeah. So you did touch on something I wanted to get to, and I know you guys have kind of moved away from like the beach volleyball tour, but just explain to everyone like what that time was like with you two going all over the world. I know you guys have told me that you guys have been to Turkey and China and Russia and all these other places. What was that experience like? Being pretty young, going around the world and competing against some really good volleyball.
It was amazing, honestly. Like looking back to it, I'm really glad we did what we did. That for sure, it's like kind of stressful, like traveling, let's say, to China and playing qualification, because if you lose, you just spend a lot of money and travel to the other side of the world to play 1 game or 2 games and go home. But just traveling there, seeing the like great level of volleyball and being able to compete, it was great. Like it was like the dream, like that's all we like to do. If we could just do that all the time, we would. But yeah, it was it was a lot of fun. I think Vas agrees.
It's amazing, but it's if there is no, it's like it's a very it's an expensive hobby. I'll say that for the majority of people at this moment. Even if they're good, it's an expensive hobby. So looking back to it after, it's amazing memories, learn a lot, so the world and everything. But when you are 24 and you need to actually start having a normal life, and you maybe in the future you have to buy a house or so do something, you realize that you cannot being at the beach training 6 hours a day, just to be able to be the best at your hobby, because unless you're top 15 in the world, which costs a lot of money and a lot of years, and maybe you're not good enough to make it, maybe you are, but you will never find out. It doesn't even matter to discuss about this. You don't make good money, so it's
Yeah, unfortunately, it's pretty expensive, and it's really hard to find people to, especially in our country, to fund you and support you to, achieve what you want. So, if we had all the support, we would probably try it, but we prioritize, other things that are more important in life. So yeah, but it was a lot of fun for sure.
Yeah, that's why you guys are making
like
that
an
move.
average.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's why you guys are kind of making that move to playing more indoor volleyball. Voss, you're playing professional indoor volleyball, and we'll see what the future holds for you, Aggelos, and where you end up in the future. But that's definitely something that while indoor volleyball still doesn't make a lot of money overseas, at least you're getting a consistent paycheck. Whereas you're talking about, you play 1 or 2 games at that qualifier, you might leave empty-handed because you're just not going to get any money. And that's the one sad.
Ben, it's not even that. You finish 9th place at the tournament with 24 teams main draw, and you end up being minus 1,500. So it's really bad. Unless you win everything until the 3-star, you're continuously losing.
Yeah. So I mean, that's why it's a little better. Just you'll be finally getting a consistent paycheck, and you don't have to be paying for the court use, and you don't have to be paying for your coach and all those things. So definitely, the positives are towards indoor volleyball, unless you're like really gifted, like the top players are in beach volleyball.
Exactly.
So we want to thank you guys for joining us. We don't want to hold you up too long. We know you guys gotta train and enjoy your time off from being in school. So thank you again, the Mandilaris brothers, for taking some time out of your day and joining us.
Thanks for inviting us, guys.
Peace out.
Yeah, we'll talk to you later, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Those two are always a hoot,
Yeah, interesting perspective on things too.
Yeah, I think you're the closest thing I had to like playing with a brother growing up.
Yeah.
But to actually like every day, like you're with that person and you went to school together, you went and played beach volleyball together. I mean, those two were together all the time. So it's funny to see how like their perspective on volleyball and life has developed over the years. I mean, obviously you saw Voss was a little bit more gruff, and he was like, guys, look, I just lost $1,500. you know, and then you have Aggelos there, and he's like, oh, you know, it was just a lot of fun, like very, you know, upbeat and sensible. So it's definitely interesting seeing how two guys have developed over the years into two very different people.
Yeah, the different personalities is funny, and it's funny that you can almost, if they didn't have the same last name, you might not even realize that they're brothers, honestly, because they just have, it seems like a different perspective, but they're both really cool and they have a really cool story. I do wonder if Aggelos plays right side hitter just because his brother's older and he wanted to play outside.
So it is funny because when Voss first came over here, he did start his freshman year as the right side. And then once Aggelos came over, transitioned into it. But yeah, it probably is an interesting thing when they started playing beach volleyball. That's probably where they got their sides, you know.
Yeah.
Voss was probably the older one. He's like, I want the left side and you can take the right side. Yeah. So and then they probably just developed from there, and that's why Voss is an outside and Aggelos is a right side.
I mean, it worked out well for both of them, I'd say.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely a bright future for both of them in volleyball. So, you know, we can only wish them the best. But yeah, I think that was a good New Year's Day interview, bringing a different perspective on volleyball from a different side of the world. You know, it's not something that we see every day. You know, I went through college with those guys, so I understand that perspective. But for many of you listening, interacting with professional Greek volleyball players isn't something that you hear every day. So I think it's definitely an opportunity for everyone to see volleyball in a different light, because it's big in Europe. I mean, there's soccer, obviously, but then volleyball is not too far behind in a lot of those countries as one of the most popular. So that's definitely something that is a change in culture than what we see in America with men's volleyball.
Yeah, it's completely different. I mean, you look over there and every single country has a professional league. You know, some are better than others, obviously, like that's going to happen. But,
yeah.
But I mean, you saw the Netherlands. We had a guy who plays in the French league. You know, people who've played, you know, Italy, Germany, yeah, all over the place. And it, like, the accessibility to high level volleyball is it's just so much simpler. And to be able to make a living out of it, you know, obviously you have to go to Europe or you know, Brazil, basically. But
yeah,
I mean, I don't know where we're at compared to them in terms of if we'll ever have a professional volleyball league, but I think the seeds are getting planted. I think people are realizing that volleyball's good. We've got people in the community that are, you know, trying to push it forward and everything. And you know, we just kind of have to keep a positive attitude and hope that someday, you know, we can reach at least close to the heights that Europe has.
Yeah, and I think we'll have to base a lot of, you know, what men's volleyball will look like on one of our former guests, Peyton Chang, who joined us about Athletes Unlimited, to see how the women's volleyball league had their success, and if that did have a high level of success, then, you know, maybe we'll be able to see men's volleyball come up to that point as well.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem that unreasonable to think that there will be a chance for men's volleyball to kind of start. I mean, it can really only go up, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And you know, hopefully it's sooner rather than later, but every integration of a new sport takes a while. You know, I think Major League Soccer is just now becoming recognized as like a decent soccer league, and it's been around for like 20 or 30 years.
Yeah, that's what people don't understand about a lot of sports that are just starting up, is that they are going to take a lot of time. it wasn't like the NFL was just like the NFL it is today back in the 40s and 50s, or
Right.
even when baseball first started, that it was what it is today. It's going to take time, but it's going to take money, and it's going to take a lot of people being very consistent with wanting to be at that level of exposure.
Yeah, and you think about it, there are enough very good volleyball players around, both indoor and outdoor. And I think hopefully soon it'll be a time to shine for everyone, because I think we might have some of the most talent just because we have a bigger pool of talent. But once they reach the heights that they want to reach, once players want to become professionals, they're out of here.
Yeah.
And, it doesn't seem like it would be impossible for them to stick around. We just have to have,
I think,
back and some money.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely not out of the realm of possibility when you think about, I mean, if you want to ask all these players that are overseas if they would rather be playing in a league that paid the same in the United States, they would absolutely, want to be in that position rather than, whole way across the world, different time zones, struggling to, we even talked to Nathan Davis last week about, the same kind of thing with him playing basketball in Germany, that, how was his Christmas and how was his New Year,
right?
Compared to like if he was playing in the States, he'd probably at least be able to get home and see his family. Whereas it's probably going to be until after the season's over till he can see his family again.
Right. And even that, I feel like the U.S. attracts people to play collegiate volleyball here. So I don't think it's even that unreasonable to think that people would come from foreign countries and play in the U.S. because it's just culturally, a lot of people like coming to the U.S. for sports. So I don't know. It's something to think about, and I don't think we're that far away from it, but it's a gradual process, and hopefully we get to be a part of it in some regard.
Whether it's just even if it's just a fan, I want to get to that point where I can sit down with some young players and be like, here, listen, this is volleyball, and you guys got to understand the struggle that it takes to get here. So, but we want to thank everyone for tuning in today. Make sure that you like, subscribe, leave a comment if you want any of this merch, and everyone have a happy New Year, and I hope your goals are all met. So
here's
until next
2021 being better than 2020.
Exactly.
Shouldn't be hard.
We'll see you guys.